What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Xbox Ultimate Podcast, episode number 208. Oh, yeah, Xbox is riding high right now after a very well received first party game launch that is universally well received, it seems like, for the most part. And naysayers, as Pong was saying last night, the doubters were all wrong. So that's what I led with the thumbnail today. Thanks, beautiful wife Caitlin, for making that as always. And shout out to the chat. Thank you all for being here, and thanks for taking time away for playing some of these amazing games, because it's not just Indiana Jones that had the early access launch. We also have Path of Exile 2, and if you see Pong making game faces during the show tonight, that's because he's probably playing Path of Exile 2 early access right now as well. Maybe so. Shout out to everybody here hanging out in the chat. Danny Passion Official, Spidey Ring, Poison Maniac, Isaac Hayes, 85, Talos Ray, Oscar Emilio A. Gonzalez, Talos Ray, Masshole 1977, BT Maverick 707. Shout out to all you guys for being here. Appreciate you. And thanks to everybody else also who listens to our content, whether you listen live here in the chat. If you do, hey, appreciate the like, share it out, sub, notification bell, all that cool stuff greatly helps us grow. But also audio listeners as well. Like we've all seen these Xbox years in review things. We've seen Spotify has their year in review things. And so from the creator side, you can do that too and kind of see things, right? It's been pretty awesome to take a look at some of that stuff. But I want to give a special shout out to the people that have been sharing with us that we happen to be on your top 5, or for a few, even their top listened to podcasts, even on audio, which is just something that's awesome to see. It's amazing to see that kind of stuff, and appreciate anybody that shares that, because it's just makes you feel good, like seeing people actually, hey, you can be somebody's most listened to or favorite thing is absolutely crazy to me, especially when you see some of the other stuff that they're watching and listening to on their top 5s as well. So I appreciate everybody sharing those that has. And also, like the audio listeners just in general. I saw something crazy, which I need to get back to. I had been putting our shows on video on Spotify, but I stopped doing it because I was like, well, I mean, does anybody really watch video on Spotify? But like when I was looking back at the year in review thing on Spotify, they have the recap. It turns out for the, I guess, small subsection of people that do watch the videos on Spotify, our content was in the top 10% of video podcasts on video shows or whatever on Spotify. So I'll get back to doing it. I guess it's people are like to actually watch on video. So hey, that's pretty cool. But shout out to all you guys. Appreciate everybody again, no matter how you watch or listen to the shows. But let's get to the panel here, and we are joined right now by the one and only Fuzzy Belvedere. What's up, Fuzz? How you doing, bro?
What's up, everyone? Glad to be here. Man, just when you were talking about as far as having time off from playing games, there's just so much limited time now to play all these games. Like I've yet to touch Indiana Jones. Kind of looking through the art book, so if you heard some birds tweeting in the background and stuff like that, it was probably from me just thumbing through that real quick. But man, so many great games out there right now. Like right now, my jam is what do you call it, Stalker 2. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna take a break from it this weekend just to kind of dive into indie and see how that goes. And it's an awesome time to be a gamer, basically. But so glad to be here with you guys.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see Buzz, like now that it's gone past just the reviewers, now it's like a lot of people getting their hands on it. Just the general feedback from regular players that are all playing Indiana Jones and seeing all the positivity out there about it. And people are really loving this game, right? So I can't wait to play it. Also, haven't been able to yet as well, but we'll get there eventually. Pong Soul, how are you doing, sir?
Doing good, sir. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Path of Exile 2 early launch day. Only 2 hours today was pretty much down for everybody that tried to hop in right when they went launch. And obviously, there were GGG was right out ahead of everything and telling everybody that they were actually trying to fix things first. They tried to add some patches before they even went live to hopefully maintain the servers better, and that kind of screwed things up. And it was kind of one of those snowball effects where they fixed something and then something else broke, so they kept doing that. So it took about 2 hours, but everybody got in. I didn't get home until late. I jinxed myself last night on PM and the PM by saying I was going to get home early tonight. So I just got on about 30 minutes ago or so, but got right in. So 0 issues. It had an update waiting for me, so I had to re-download and do the update on Steam. But then from there on in, just right in, no queue whatsoever. At last time I looked, there were over 400,000 people at one point in this game already. I don't know what it's up to now, or if it kind of peaked and then trailed off until later this weekend. But happy Path of Exile 2 launch day. It's pretty freaking damn impressive. And obviously for everybody playing Indiana Jones, we talked about the reviews last night because those went live right as we started in on PM and the PM, and that's looking absolutely freaking amazing. If Path of Exile 2 was not launching today, I would have gotten the early access to Indy, and I would be playing that right now. But I am going to hold off till next week. But my God, from what I'm seeing of Indy, everything we read of Indy last night, can't wait to jump into that as well. But Path of Exile 2, first 30 minutes, this is your granddaddy's Diablo. And if you guys know what I mean, you forget what a difficult ARPG is until you get back into one again. So this is not easy by any stretch of the imagination compared to a Diablo, unless you want to go compare it to Diablo 1 or 2, which were very difficult games. And this is reminding me of that all over again. I haven't played PoE 1 for quite some time, but my God, is it beautiful. The sound is amazing. Everything is, I was telling Mav prior to going live, they have a whole separate team that worked on controller support for this game. Some of the Path of Exile veterans who put thousands of hours in keyboard and mouse are saying Path of Exile 2 actually feels made for a controller at this point. And some of them are even playing with controller versus keyboard and mouse. So feels great on the controller. If you're thinking about hopping in, $30 will get you in. It's looking pretty freaking amazing. That's all I got to say. So, man, what a Friday, and glad to be here with Fuzz and yourself, Mav, again. And let's get down to business, brother.
Yeah, man, it's been a big day for game launches. I mean, you had Indiana Jones, you had Path of Exile 2 early access, you had Marvel Rivals hit yesterday.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I got that downloaded too. I'm playing that too.
I downloaded it earlier today. Had to clear some space, but yeah, I want to get to it because the footage I've seen that has been pretty damn awesome.
Did you see the Jeffrey the Shark special move, by the way, that everybody's showing off? I've never heard of Jeffrey the Shark. Somebody would have to tell me who the hell that is in Marvel Universe. I have no idea. Little cartoon shark. He does this whole special move that he creates this giant, like, I don't know what you want to call it, pool of water that he swims around. And when it ends, you gather every single enemy that's in that pool of water into your mouth, and you can take them somewhere and spit them.
Wow.
And so they got videos of people grabbing entire teams at one time and then running up to the out of bounds and spitting them over the edge and getting all the kills. Bro, it's crazy, man. That game looks freaking awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's weird that one of the things I want to talk about, it's weird, and we touched on this last night a little bit. It's weird that we're in like the first week of December here, towards the end of the first week in December, and we have launching all at once some of the biggest games of the year. Right? This never used to happen. It used to be like December was like a dead zone, kind of, right? You maybe had like one offshoot game that kind of got pushed back a little bit, and it was always considered to be like, oh, if you do that, it's a death sentence or whatever. But you have games breaking records right now with their early access launches. I think Path of Exile 2 had like 1 million viewers on the streaming services.
When it was queued, nobody could get in. There's still 1 million viewers just watching all the streamers. Yeah, nuts.
I mean, it's just mind blowing for an ARPG as well. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, granted, it's free to play. It's popular. Path of Exile, the first one, became like a huge success, and there's been a lot of hype around Path of Exile 2. But I mean, even the developers are crazy surprised about how much attention their game is getting here. So, then you have Marvel Rivals, which had hit 400,000 plus on Steam yesterday, a couple hours after launch. And then in Indiana Jones, I don't know what the numbers look like for Indiana Jones because I don't know where to even check for that. But I know all the positivity, and it's like everywhere I go, internet, whatever site it seems like that has to do with gaming has Indiana Jones just plastered all over, like ad banners, like videos of people talking about it, like just every Indiana Jones seems like it's everywhere right now. And a lot of positivity. The longer this game is in early access in the 3-day early access, it seems like it's getting more and more talked about as well. So, big week for games in December. It's absolutely crazy. And like you're saying last night, Pong is like that's going to be kind of maybe the new norm. There's no like more dead months in gaming, you know?
It'll be rare, right? Where
Yeah.
there's a month where there's not like at least one big game or at least semi-popular game that comes out. It's just going to get more rare, at least for the foreseeable future. Now, with the industry kind of maybe potentially slimming back a little bit, maybe we do see a regression on that. But this is kind of what we talked about, even last year, and just talking about what the next 3 years kind of looked like starting last year. This is the lineups we were talking about. These are all the games that were in production for
Mhm.
4, 5, 6 years now that are all now lined up coming out after the pandemic, and this is kind of what it's going to be. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, back in the day, it was like December through January was always kind of dead, right? Then you had some games start launching in like February and stuff. Um, the summer was always dead, right? You always had like May through August, early August until the sports games started launching is kind of what started off that trend. You had all the sports games start hitting a few weeks apart from each other, and then it rolled right into kind of holiday big game season. That's kind of the way it always used to be back in the day. But yeah, this is no longer. This year's been all year just stuff to look forward to. Fuzzy, are you going to be Path of Exiling in the early
At some
access?
at some point, I was waiting on doing the expansion for Diablo 4,
Mhm.
and I didn't realize it was going to be this quick for Path of Exiles 2. And I'm definitely on board for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which I think is early next year,
February.
like February. So it's like I want to play it, but I just have a
Yeah.
feeling because it's going to take away from games I at least want to finish or complete to some extent. It might get backburnered, but then by that point, uh, we'll probably have better patches on both PoE 2 and Diablo 4. So I give them a little bit of time to work out the kinks, and then you guys can kind of, you know, pull me through a
Right.
couple of runs or something along those lines, because you'll probably be on your second character leveled up kind of thing. So
This
we'll
is your
see.
game, Fuzzy. This is
Yeah,
spreadsheet mania, brother. This is get out the
theory
pen.
crafting and
Yep,
everything.
theory crafting. Get out the calculator. It's time to go to work, like big time. I thought of you the minute they started talking about Path of Exile 2. This is your game, brother. You would be lost in this. Like just the ideas that you can get going through, looking at the skill tree, the
Mhm.
passive skill tree, trying to figure out which way you want to go. And there's so many paths, and it's like nuts, man. So this is your game, man. I can't wait till you hop in, see what you think.
I it's funny because like with Stalker 2, it's like that looter shooter that's not like your typical looter shooter with
Right.
like, oh, a gold gun or a
Yeah.
legendary gun, but it's like, oh, I got better armor, and if I go and do this upgrade, and oh, it's like, okay, if I have this artifact, okay, this works, and I'm not dying from radiation, but I'm hungry a lot more or something along those lines. And it's like I just love playing that right now, and it's like I know Path of Exile is going to suck up all that time, so it's going to be like, hey, I'm about 10 hours away from the end and didn't never get to finish it. But I this was definitely on my anticipated games list as far as PoE 2, but
Can't wait to
It's
get
not
in,
enough
brother.
hours, man.
Yeah, I can't wait. I just want to see what you think, man, because it's nuts. It's nuts. It is.
Yeah.
So
I'm seeing all the like I'm getting FOMO.
yeah,
Right.
you got it.
Like
You got
I
to
have
jump in, man.
FOMO for everything right now.
You
though,
have to
you
jump
know,
in.
I just
It's $30. You got to support GGG for what this team has done. You got to do it, man.
well, I also like that their early access is like
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's a full-fledged game except for the last 3 acts, but their end game, I mean, they're going to do a ton. It's going to change a ton over the next 6 months to a year, but that end game, it's got more end game content than even Diablo 4 does right now, which is nuts, man. It's just nuts. You got to jump in, brother. Let's go.
Yeah. Man. I like Stalker 2 so good though. Like
It is.
dude, I was playing Stalker yesterday and I forgot to mention this, but like I ran into a collector. Have you fought something called the collector? I don't want to spoil
Yeah, don't
anything
spoil
for
it, but
anybody. I
geez.
like bro.
Okay.
That was crazy. I like
was it like on the main mission path, or was this something you think you could potentially
it just
miss?
you know like Stalker kind of verges on being a horror game.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
This was full-fledged horror game.
Oh Jesus. Okay. All right.
I mean, this was full-fledged.
Collector. I know I fought a chimera, or I think that's what they call the one thing.
Yeah, I mean, this was like I don't know, because of the way the game is, and like you can take different paths to the story, kind of. Based on your choices, I don't know how like close my experience on the main missions would be to somebody else's main missions. Are they? I don't know if they're all the same for everybody, or if I made a decision at some point that led me down a different pathway.
Yeah.
Or the main story. But because I'm not watching anybody else's content on this game. I'm not like seeing what other people are doing. So I don't know if everything still kind of directs the same way and you just end up doing the same main missions, or if there's different main missions that you can do depending on some of the choices you've made. I have no idea, right? All I know is my experience. And I got to this point where I had to go into this building. I'm trying to be very vague, so I'm not spoiling something, right? I had to go into this building to go take out this thing, right? And I finally got there, like, there was other kind of, those kind of like zombie-ish kind of mutants and stuff in this game. You have to do some of that stuff. And you get to this thing, and it's like, okay, I don't know what he's doing to me, but it was very creepy and strange, and I don't know. It was. I mean,
You
I know
feel
what you're talking about
violated
now. Yeah.
like
well, in some ways, yeah. Something was hurting me, and I didn't know what. Like, it was like, it was crazy, man. Like, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is new. Like, this thing I love about Stalker is you'll like run into something new that you've never seen in the game, even though you're like 15, 20 hours into the game or whatever, that you haven't seen before. And it's like, wow, this is different. I finally ran into the poltergeist as well that everybody's talking about. They're just throwing shit at me and stuff. I'm like, how do I?
It's
I
the
don't even know
creepiest thing. The way it starts, like for me, it's like, oh, an ammo box, and you go to hit it, and it floats, and then it smacks you in the head. I'm like, oh, what the hell just happened?
Right.
So yeah. Oh man.
And I don't even know if I can take those. I just ended up started running away. I shot at him several times, but like nothing happened. So like I just ended up having to run away from that. Yeah, I'm in love with Stalker 2.
Yeah.
It is so good. And it keeps getting better and better and better, like the more I play it. And like Fuzzy talked about, like getting, if you find something, you'll go into an area and like, I wonder if there's anything back there, and you'll see like a safe, right? Oh, cool. There's actually something there. Or you'll see like a backpack, or you'll see some kind of thing, right? And you'll look at it, oh, badass piece of armor in there, or but it's not like you said, it's not like a typical looter, and those finds are rare.
Yeah.
Right, those finds are rare. So, and when you find them, you still like how does this compare to what I have? You know, like it's absolutely awesome game. I feel like and we talked about this before as well. I think this game's gonna end up getting remembered for a long time and
Mhm.
played for a very long time. So it's just crazy that we're in this year of 2024, right? And we had a lot of doubters with Xbox this year. We had a lot of doom and gloom with Xbox this year. All year, it was a lot of pessimism. A lot of people talking about how they didn't really put out any games again. That they were for them, or that they weren't hitting on some of their games, and people were talking about how there was huge gaps, between some of the releases, and talking about how because of the direction, none of the games even matter anymore, and all these things, and all year I was like, we know they're loaded in the second half, right, of this year. But even then, like the games are hitting. Like Hellblade 2 started in May. We had Age of Mythology Retold, which you're addicted to again, which is absolutely an amazing release that nobody gives any credit for or any acknowledgement to in the communities out there. Or A History Untold launch was a fantastic 4X strategy game that actually made me kind of love that genre, which is a strategy genre that I really hadn't gotten too much into except for Civ 4 back in the day. Then you had Shattered Space, which kind of fell flat for some people because they were rushing through the story and just did that only, and kind of didn't seem like they were really playing Starfield. I don't know how other than to put it in that way. You had Vessel of Hatred come out. Then we had Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, which was the best Call of Duty we've had in a very, 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 very long time.
Mhm.
Followed by Flight Sim and Stalker 2 hit Game Pass day and date, which is an exclusive. Um, every single one of these, though, besides Call of Duty, seemed like it had a little asterisk next to it. Okay, my Flight Sim had a bad launch, a couple days. Stalker 2, people talk about the bugs, didn't review as high as some people thought it was going to, for whatever reason. Um, I feel like Indiana Jones, that being this last game of the year for Xbox, kind of had, just for narrative reasons, kind of like some weight riding on it for people's perspective, even not my own, because I thought 2024 was amazing all year round, really, for Xbox, except for the first 4 months when we didn't have anything. Um, but Indiana Jones hit, and it's actually getting the acknowledgement that it deserves, right? But it's kind of flipping a switch, I feel like, where people are starting to realize that 2024 is pretty damn good
Hmm.
for Xbox. Um, and everything's good because you can play the game on your Xbox. You can play the game on
Well,
your PC.
everything is an Xbox, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I think people are realizing, oh, I can still play this game on a console, and plays great on console according to all the reviews and people looking at it. Digital Foundry was glowing praises all over the place on it as well. Um, so anyway, it's just interesting now that we said everybody was doing their, remember, like this was like early November or early mid October, everybody's talking about how, Xbox didn't have a good year. We were like, year's not over yet, you know. I think a lot of people, they take stock now and actually really look at everything. They'll realize 2024 might actually be one of the best years that Xbox has had, just in general.
Well,
So,
question I have. Remember how, like, with the Publisher of the Year and stuff when they won, I think that
yeah.
was what, in 21 or something like that?
Mhm.
Do they still count Activision as a separate and Bethesda as a separate, or are they just going to lump it under Microsoft Gaming, and then that would give the blanket for the fact that, with Call of Duty, with the DLCs that they offered, the first party stuff, and then the third party deals that they've made where they've published some of those games, shouldn't that count for at least them getting some sort of recognition for Publisher of the Year? Like, I know there's probably some others where people will look at, well, I guess From Software because of their DLC, but that was the only thing. Well, I wouldn't say the only thing they released, but it was like one of the main things they released this year. You had Sega, which had a pretty decent year as well, with stuff for like Metal 4 as well as Persona and the Yakuza and Like a Dragon and stuff like that. But I think overall, just considering the quantity and the quality, Microsoft definitely, or Xbox, or however you want to frame it, definitely should be a contender for Publisher of the Year this year.
I mean, really, if you look at it for the amount of games put out at a good to great quality, in a variety of genres, I completely agree with you. The only question is, yeah, how do they count it? Because beforehand, like in 2021, it was still, it was Halo, it was Forza, right? And some other games as well. So I don't know how you quantify it now, right? With ZeniMax Bethesda obviously is one of the bigger releases now with Indiana Jones. Plus, also you had other ongoing content for games this year from them, and wasn't Fallout 4 update this year as well. The big update
Yeah,
for Fallout 4. Yeah,
they did the 60 frames boost, as well as there was like some graphical upgrades and things like that. And then 76 had a lot of content updates and things like that for the base building, pets, and some content related to the TV series and stuff. So
yeah, yeah. Overall, I mean, I just think like if you look at the complete package of everything they delivered, it's pretty awesome. And most of it, I mean, it's all besides some third party deals like Stalker too, which for Game Pass, which is not even published by Microsoft, right? Like you look at the actual everything is in house, right? Either Microsoft owned IP or one of their own studios.
yeah,
So I think that one of the contenders will obviously be Sony, where they had Astrobot, Helldivers 2.
yeah,
Um, those two alone are really, really great, right? So you have those two, then they published Stellar Blade.
yeah.
They published um
Rise of the Ronin,
right.
or
Yeah, was that
was it?
published? Yeah, I think that was published by them. I'm not 100%.
No, it was not published by them.
It was
Oh,
not? Okay.
No, it was not.
So, and that was developed by Koei Tecmo or Bandai Namco? I can't remember.
I think
Koei Tecmo. Koei Tecmo.
Koei Tecmo.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one was not published. What other games did they publish? Oh, so they published Silent Hill 2, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Did they?
Did they?
Did they?
I don't know.
I don't remember if it was.
Or is it just money? Like, help me out, chat. Like,
We know it was
because
Money had it. Just who gets the
it's not-
publishing rights?
there's a gray area there. Even
Published
with
by
some-
Konami. No, because Konami published it. Yeah.
Oh,
right.
okay.
I remember as Konami, but like I could have swore they tried to put like published by Sony on some of these other ones. Like even if it's like a co-publishing deal or like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just paid for the exclusivity for a time
Right.
frame, because there's word that Rise of Ronin could be coming to Xbox at some point. It wasn't.
Yeah,
no
and I think
exclusivity,
Silent
so-
Hill 2 will eventually as well.
Yeah.
So
Just
I'm trying to think about which besides Astrobot and Helldivers 2.
I mean, there was the game that they want to forget, but
Oh, Concord.
we're talking
yeah,
about Publisher of the
yeah.
Year, and I don't think anybody's going to want to include that.
Yeah,
in the
it was
conversation.
published. The remake was published by Konami, so no. Sony
Okay. So
included.
yeah, they redacted Concord. So
Yeah, that should actually
Like-
go as a negative.
That counters.
Yeah, that counters one of the games. One of the games is knocked off, so they just got Helldivers. That's all they got. Helldivers. That's it.
Well, Helldivers did sell better, so
It
yeah.
did. It did. Sold well on PC. That's for damn sure. We know that.
I'm really trying to think about what Sony published games were.
That's that. I think that's it, man. To be real, did they? Because they didn't have. Did they have any remasters this year? I don't think
I
so.
think they did. They had the what do you call it? The
Wait.
Zero Dawn.
Oh, well, that was more of an update. It really wasn't a remaster. Like, I guess in a way it is. It's a
They
patch.
call it a remaster because
Yeah.
it used the
It updated the
Zero
assets.
or Forbidden West
Yeah,
graphical.
it updated it. Yeah.
Jasper asked if Last of Us Part 2 remake was this year.
No, that was last year, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. Yeah, we mentioned Stellar Blade, Jax. Yeah. That was one that was already in development, and they ended up acquiring the publishing rights to that game. They don't own the studio or anything. I don't think they acquired the studio
Not
right
yet.
for that. But that game was originally in development for Xbox and PlayStation. Then they had changed it after they got the publishing rights to it. Yeah, these other ones, the other exclusives, I'm not sure. I think if you
I guess it came out January 19th, so I guess that counts.
did it,
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, for The
Last of Us 2 remaster, PlayStation 5, January 19th.
Okay.
Remaster.
Good call, Jasper.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'd take Xbox's lineup this year every day.
Oh yeah, obviously.
I mean, if you count all the updates to the games of service games, you
Right.
talk about the new releases, you talk about something as massive as Call of Duty Black Ops 6, like Indiana Jones, a Hellblade 2, Aura,
Age of
Mythology Retold,
Flight Simulator 2024.
Flight Simulator, which like some of the, I think the meta is a little down on Flight Sim because a lot of the reviews came out for the early part when they had their like 3 days or two days of issues, right?
Mhm.
But for those that held on their reviews until after that was done with, like they're all coming out like higher. So we could see Flight Sim's score increase because it still didn't have a ton of reviews out there. But like IGN even had to swallow their pride and give it a 9 again on that. So, yeah, I think Flight Sim is 2024 is absolutely amazing. So you add Flight Sim into there, well, right? Overall, it's just like variety and everything is there, man. And hey, guess what? Everything there besides Aura, you can play on an Xbox console. And also, all those games are in Game Pass, which you can't like put it like you can't talk about how good that is for first party. It's absolutely awesome when you're delivering that many games at that much variety at good quality like that to actually be able to get them all in a subscription service the day they release, including third party releases. Which, if you want to like talk about the year that Xbox had, you add games like Kinitsugami Path of the Goddess in there for Game Pass day and date. You add Stalker 2 in there, which is right now my game of the year. In their day and date. I mean, that's talking greatness.
Don't forget Power
right
World.
there. Power World was a huge success early this year as well. It's weird that it took like we had so much negativity going on this year while all this was happening. Right? And that's something I don't it's going to be kind of hard to understand. I know a lot of the controversy with the direction of Xbox and putting their games everywhere is kind of what led to a lot of it. But it's also the lack of acknowledgement of games that were coming out and existing and delivering and people trying to discount as if they don't matter for whatever reason, right? But yeah, we're I think sitting now looking back, hey, the doubters were wrong.
They were.
2025 is going to be even better.
Even better.
Which is mind-blowing to me. For everything we got this year, 2025 is even going to be better.
It's insane. It's insane because we only know about half the year. Like we have a pretty good idea of what the first half is like, but come showcase time, the second half of the year could be even more mind blowing than what we already know. So,
Yeah, it will be. There's going to be games that we don't know about come out every year. The Xbox has stuff that we don't know about come out.
yeah.
So yeah, next year will be for
Game
sure.
Pass games that were announced today too. Like,
oh yeah, I wanted to mention that. Thanks for Pong.
yeah, I mean, I know I'm just playing a game here, but listen, that was how many. I try to get my train of thought here. How many times did we hear, oh, this is kind of a light month for Game Pass towards the end of the year here, like November and December, and now all of a sudden we're just getting random games out of the blue thrown into Game Pass. Oh, coming next week or coming in 2 weeks, you're getting what was it today? It was
Hunt the Showdown.
Hunt the Showdown, 1886,
Yeah.
and also what's the other one at the end of January?
Into December.
Or end of December, yeah, end of December. What's the other one? I was thinking January because we were talking.
The only one I saw was Hunt the Showdown.
No. There's another one. What
You got
frick?
WRC.
Return of the King 2.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's dropping in at the end of December as well.
Didn't you get that when it came out?
The first Return of the King, yes.
Yeah.
It's like a turn-based kind of strategy tiles. And it's got the graphics are weird. They're a stylish type of it's hard to explain. Like you'd have to go look at it. But yeah, they just released their final trailer today and announced that it was coming into Game Pass as well. I don't think we had heard that.
So this is a new one?
Yes, this is a new one because they've only had one. This is Return of the King 2 coming out. You might be thinking of a different game, but
yeah, I think I'm thinking of Crusader King.
Yeah, you're thinking of Crusader Kings. Yeah. No, this is Return of the King tactic style strategy game. It's very cool. I played the first one. The first one I believe has been in Game Pass for a while, or was in Game Pass for a while. But yeah, that one's out of the blue as well today, along with Hunt the Showdown 1886.
Yeah, and by Hunt the Showdown 1886, a couple months back, had went into got a massive update. And it became current gen only.
Correct. They delisted the previous gens.
Yes. Correct. And I gotta say, like, I tried it right after that because if you owned Hunt the Showdown, obviously you got the upgrade for free, right?
Yep.
So I tried it and I was like, wow, this is actually really cool. Like, but I wasn't really playing with anybody, but I kind of just like went into solo kind of mode and just walked around and experimented with stuff. I did try a multiplayer game. I got killed like really quickly.
It's for the King too, by the way, not Return the King. It's for the King.
For the King. Oh, okay.
King.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I recognize that. Yeah, I remember that. Okay. But yeah, Hunt the Showdown is a quality, pretty damn popular multiplayer game made by Crytek, right? So Hunt the Showdown, I think maybe they're gonna be able to get some people in trying it in Game Pass. Quality, it's good. I did Jasper, and didn't you play Hunt the Showdown quite a bit? Type in the chat if you did. I remember somebody in FunSpec Fam used to play Hunt the Showdown a little bit.
My sons really were into that game for the longest time. They would keep on buying different operators and stuff like that. But it's like,
right.
It's a cool game.
Yeah.
That's one of those.
Love the concept. Love the look of it. It's a little more I'm not as much of a PvP player, so it's PvE kind of deal, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's like Wild West theme kind of and stuff. So it's really kind of badass game. So yeah, that's coming. When is that coming, Pong? Do you remember?
December the 20th. Okay, so For the King 2 is December 12th, and Hunt the Showdown is December the 12th as well. So both next week. Yeah. Why not? Why not? Yeah, we don't have enough to play, guys.
Yeah, you got that backlog? Yeah, we're gonna stack some more on top of that. Here's a backlog for your backlog.
Unbelievable.
Poison Maniac says criticism for the lack of releases from Xbox after Hellblade 2 is pretty fair for first party games. If they get that figured out, then I don't see much negativity. I think I completely disagree. After Hellblade 2, we had Age of Mythology Retold, we had Aura History Untold, we had Shattered Space, and we had Vessel of Hatred. all within a couple months, right after Hellblade 2. So, and they hit like pretty. I mean, they were all spaced out a couple weeks apart and stuff. So, if you talk about it before Hellblade 2, yes, but that was the point that you're talking about, Poisoned, is the narrative that I'm talking about is false because people don't count those games. Right? People aren't counting Aura because it was on PC, right? And even if it was on console,
Yeah, they won't.
They wouldn't have counted anyway. Let's just be honest, right?
Because it's a genre that nobody plays, even though there's.
But a lot of people play it,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like, but a lot of people, yeah. So, Age of Mythology Retold, in the same situation, like, and it was reviewed well, quality game, high praise. Came out console day and date, but people act like it doesn't exist when they're going through their pipeline of games that Xbox released this year. So it's just because that genre necessarily isn't for you. So if you want to say this, you want to say they didn't have a pipeline after Hellblade 2 until Call of Duty of games that I'm interested in, then that is an argument anybody can make because that's just about personal taste, right? It's about personal preference. But you can't say that they didn't have anything after between Hellblade 2 and Call of Duty because they had a lot. Vessel of Hatred was talked about as enough content to be a massive thing in and of its own right. Shattered Space is like, if you actually play Starfield and play it like a Elder Scrolls or like a Fallout type game and don't just rush through a campaign story thing, Shattered Space is massive as well. So you could do Shattered Space. You got tons of hours of content there. You got Vessel of Hatred, tons and tons of hours of content there. You had Aura History Untold, which is limitless content there. If you want to discount that because it was on PC only, fine, right? Still, Age of Mythology Retold plus those other two expansions in between Hellblade 2 and Call of Duty. That's more than anybody else really was delivering from first party this year. So, I would argue that the beginning of the year was the issue for Xbox this year. It was January through May, right? It was pre Hellblade 2. But that won't be an issue in 2025 because Avowed's hitting in February, right? Jasper says Fallout 76 had a map expansion this year. Also in that time frame, also Elder Scrolls Online had the Gold Road expansion, which was a big one for Elder Scrolls Online community as well. And then you can count all the other updates, all these other games of service games ended up having, including, actually, I want to talk about this one too, Fuzzy, because this is up your alley. Did you see the thing about Forza Motorsport getting like new global illumination ray tracing features with PC. A new update? Yeah, on PC, it's pretty. I was like, okay, that's just a random big update.
Well, they also had the drift update and the NASCAR update. A few tracks throughout this year. There's still one more I'm hoping that they do before the end of the year. Panorama, basically Bathurst, which I think they will deliver late this month or maybe early January at worst. But they've been steadily, doing updates. It's just that I think a lot of people are still waiting on like drag racing or something like that. Like I'm one of those that's looking forward to that, but I'm not in that big of a rush for it because they have all the other ones that they've been doing. But even games like what do you call it, Forza Horizon 5, like they do a monthly update every month. Like there's new cars every week, whether it's new to Forza completely or just new to Horizon 5. There's updates every month, and I think they're on month like 23 or something like that now of those updates. And they got bug fixes in those. Was it State of Decay 3 just recently wrapped up their updates because they're now putting all that focus on State of Decay 2 just did their most recent update so they could focus on State of Decay 3. But yeah, a lot of Xbox games have continual support and updates, and those usually don't get counted either. Some of the expansions don't get counted. It's just, man, like I said, there's not enough hours in the day to play all these games.
Yeah. It's crazy. There every single time, like it seems like every time I look online, there's like some kind of big update for some game that I love. Antonio Newman says they did go 4 months without a game after Hellblade. That's actually completely false, bro. I don't know how to I don't know how to say it any differently other than what we have. But if you just actually look at the release dates of all the content that they had and everything, that's not an accurate or true statement whatsoever. So, but that's that's the narrative that has become the perception, which people can say perception is reality, but again, it's about what you're interested in. It's not about actually what they delivered this year. If you want to talk about actual releases, I think Hellblade 2 came out May 22nd or something like that. So if you actually go to where I think it was Aura or Age of Mythology was earlier in September, so there was about 3 months there, roughly 3 months and a couple weeks. If you want to go after first party publishers for not having a game like between 3 month periods, we got issues as gamers, right? It's like seriously. You can talk about for Hellblade 2, the 4 months there, almost 5. Yeah, okay, we got
did.
something to talk about, and
We talked
we
about it.
absolutely talked about it. But you talk about between 3 months and then after that hitting stuff like every couple of weeks and for the pretty much for the rest of the year. I mean, that's not an issue. It was an issue for some because it wasn't the games that they were looking forward to, right? But they existed. So, that's going to be the same thing for every platform and every publisher, everything out there. There's going to be some things you're looking forward to. There's going to be some you're not. Next year is going to be very interesting because I think they're probably going to space the bigger games out more towards that like one per quarter type situation. Plus whatever they release for Call of Duty in late October as well. And all the updates and all the ongoing content and the other reveals that we don't even know yet. But if we count the 4 games that we do know, South of Midnight, Avowed, Doom: The Dark Ages, and Fable, those will probably be spaced out a little bit more this year than the next year than they were this year. But yeah. Anyway, I guess our job to put some fact checking on some stuff sometimes. But it is what it is. Fact check you guys. Even our own chat will fact check you. Xbox Mike says, anyone see Red Dragon ignore a sea of positive Indiana Jones reviews to pull up a clip of one podcast that gave the game made mediocre scores? No, I didn't see that. Well, nor do I care to. Nor do I care to. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching the content here. I appreciate you. Okay. So Antonio says it was Hellblade and a little dry until September. Okay. Cool. Anyway, yeah, overall, like if I'm trying to think of where I would if I now that we can actually look at the year with all the games released and try and give some kind of a grade on Xbox for 2024. Like Xbox year in review, let's review them. Let's review Xbox. 2024 for Xbox. Now, based on what experiences you got and the platform and the ecosystem, you know, your value that you got with Game Pass, the games that you got to play that were first party. I'm curious what we would give it. What do you think, Fuzz? Like, start with you.
I'll give them a solid B. The only reason why it's not an A is because there were a couple of things I was hoping that they would do updates for on certain games that haven't completely finished. But then again, the year isn't finished. But overall, this is probably the most I've spent on Xbox solely in comparison to previous years. Like usually there's a good bit of hours you'll see like on my year-end review for PlayStation with GT7. I don't think those numbers are anywhere near what they normally are. Like I usually put in like over 1,000 hours.
Mhm.
I don't think I reached 1,000 this year in GT7, but a solid B, constant updates, constant things in Game Pass, a lot of stuff that I could bounce back and forth between PC and console. Just an awesome year overall. Like I think about the only thing really missing it, at least for me, was like the earlier part of the year, but it wasn't like I had to rely solely on like what Xbox first party was doing, because there were other games like Dragon's Dogma 2, which took up, a lot of that space for me until Hellblade 2 came out from them as far as first party. And then I started falling into some of the games that I had put down and, revisited, like State of Decay 2 was one that bought it at launch. Yeah, I know it's in Game Pass, but still bought it because I'm a zombie fan. And the first couple of, like, I would say that first month, it had some buggy issues that were frustrating. So instead of getting pissed off at the game, I was like, they'll fix it. Let me put it down. Let me focus on some other stuff. And yeah, they definitely fixed a lot of things. Yeah, there are some smaller bugs that they just recently squashed on their most recent update. But as far as what I played, a majority part of the early part of this year, it's the Walking Dead simulator that I wanted all along. And that's kind of what I wanted from that game. Now, if they can do like a graphical update or upgrade in comparison, it'll be the perfect game for me. But enjoyed my time with that. I think I spent like 200 and some odd hours just this year alone in it. So 93 achievements just this year alone from it. I forget how much gamer score that is, but it's over 1,000 gamer score out of it. Yeah, it was a pretty bang up year as far as I'm concerned. So solid B. They were probably maybe one drop or two updates on certain games away from being a perfect A or a A plus kind of year for me. That's all.
All right, man. Good year for you. Playing games. That's all your Xbox year in review. You had some fun this year.
He's retired.
Yeah, I know, man.
I mean,
Like,
seriously.
I was like, holy hell. I think the only person that's got him beat is Snoop Dogg.
Right?
What about you, Pong? Like if you had to, I mean, I know we don't like grades too much, but if you had to kind of look at it and say where they are this year,
it'd probably be a solid B for me as well, maybe a B plus. Again, I think that because it's just like I talk about everything else is in a vacuum, and I'm not gonna like compare it to anything else. I could just tell you what would make it an A would have been having a Avowed release this year on schedule. Would have been having something in the beginning of the year without that dry spell before Hellblade 2. But I gotta say overall, especially with the way that the second half of the year kind of played out, for me, because Age Mythology is one of my favorite games this year, on top of everything else. And then you got Stalker 2, which I know isn't first party, but then you do have to count the great launch of Call of Duty. That is now first party as well, with the expansions. Yeah, I would say a B to a B plus, easy. And then, again, to make it an A, I would have liked to see in the year, not have a dry spell in the beginning for first party specifically, and then have the end of the year. I wish they would not have moved Avowed. I really wish they would not have done that. Again, I'm just going off of what Phil said multiple times now, that the game was ready. They only did it simply because there's too many games launching. Well, okay. I still would have wanted that game come out this year. So that's my personal take. But yeah, BB plus. I think they did a great job this year. And I think the second half of the year, all these games, especially, Indiana Jones topping it off, which I haven't played yet, but I'm just saying, according to everybody, it's going to be a game that I'm going to love from what everybody's saying, to top it off with a game that people are saying would be their game of the year personally. And on top of that, some of the reviews we read last night, Mav and I read one where the guy said this is up there with Batman Arkham as one of the greatest licensed IP of all time. Like, yeah, you got to say they had a hell of a year this year from first party. So, yep, next year potentially has A written all over it already. Easy.
Yeah,
easy.
I mean, I try like just overall as like the
Yeah, and then great
ecosystem.
Game Pass too, I should say. Great Game Pass year this year too. A lot of diversity, a lot of great stuff popping in there. So,
I think this year was the best year for Game Pass.
Yeah,
I'd have to go look, but yeah, it's got to be top 2, top 3 for sure. If it's not the top 1, yeah, because they had some freaking amazing additions this year. But next year, yo, we got Sniper Elites. We got 2 Sniper Elites. We got Atom Fall. We got whatchamacallit 33 coming in out the rip. Next year,
33 games. The 33 Immortals also.
Yeah, 33 Immortals is going to be there too. It's going to be nuts. Game Pass next year by itself, if you're not in Game Pass and you are a grazer and somebody who likes a lot of different games like we do, you're going to want to subscribe next year. Like, that is going to be a massive year, plus all this first party stuff. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Sorry, I interrupted again.
No, you're good, man. Like, I'm trying to think of where I would put it, like score wise, because the variety was so immense this year, which is important. Like, we talk about the Game Pass aspect and all the stuff that they were delivering there, adding to all of this, right? A game like Stalker 2 that I'm loving so much, right? Which isn't first party, but it feels like a special game in a lot of ways for me. So I have to add that to the equation when I'm grading Xbox because they gave it to me in Game Pass, right? That we have all the updates on the existing games that I think they had one of the best years for that too. Just overall, like, just ongoing content types, updates and features and everything on a lot of these games. It was absolutely awesome. We had 2 big expansions on 2 of those games. I think Stalker 2 took me from like a B to B plus to like a A. And like, I'm talking now before I've even played Indiana Jones. Right? And before I'm also playing these other games that just got announced to Game Pass, or the what was it, the For the King. I'm probably gonna give that one a go. So yeah, it's been a pretty damn good year for them in general across the board. Hellblade 2 was incredible. Yeah, it was like 11-hour experience for me, right? I played it. I'll maybe play it again one day, a few years from now or something, or maybe there'll be content added or updates in some kind of form or fashion that kind of gets my excitement for it going again. But what I played and experienced, I loved my time with that game. Absolutely. I kind of dabbled just going back to a lot of different games this year, off and on, all year long. And that was kind of my year this year. It was a little strange. It was about playing this, playing that, playing this, playing that, hopping over this because this got an update, play that for like a day or two, then go over and play this other thing that got an update, or and overall it was because of all these games kept getting free content and updates, and new games dropping into Game Pass too, left and right. I feel like this year had the most surprises for Game Pass as well. It's like almost every month is like, oh shoot, that's coming to Game Pass, crazy. We had something like Persona 5 Tactica hit this year. Metal Slug Tactics, which is a game I was already interested in, got announced randomly for Game Pass this year. We had surprise surprise games getting put into Game Pass at game shows, this year a couple different times. Like, oh, this is coming to Game Pass today. Play it. pretty damn good overall. As I see Black Knights and Persona 3, they put expansion content or add-on content for some of the Persona stuff as well in the
Mhm.
Game Pass. So Game Pass overall was just crazy. So yeah, overall, yeah, I would say solid A now after Stalker 2, and knowing that I'm going to be playing um Indiana Jones as well. Let's see here. And what else? I feel like I'm missing some kind of Call of Duty. Like just in and of its own right, Call of Duty being back with a Xbox now, kind of synonymous with it. Launching day and date into Game Pass alone was a huge deal that added a lot of value to the service and to the Xbox brand, I feel like, in general. Also, I've been actually taking advantage of it because I've been playing on PC and console. Pretty damn awesome. Have you been playing have you played Call of Duty 2 a lot, Fuzz, at all since its launch?
Just the campaign, but I'm only about I think six or 7 hours in. So I think about the halfway mark because I'm taking my time doing the side mission stuff. But I haven't even really tackled it like I want to. Like typically, I usually wind up at least finishing the campaign, but I forget what I was bouncing around on. I think it was either Prey or I went back to Outer Worlds because I was doing some of the Shattered Space stuff and I wanted it to be scarier because it was like around Halloween time at the time. And I think that's what made me pick up Prey. And then I was like, you know what? Let me check out Outer Worlds again. So yeah, it's for me. It's been a kind of a weird year just because there's so many like titles either I missed or haven't touched in a while. Like I played when they came out and then put down for whatever reason because something else came out, I guess. And then it's like I fall back into those and it's like, oh wow, I'm stuck, not stuck, but like I'm hooked on Prey for, probably 2 weeks straight nonstop playing it until I get like the 2 or 3 alternate endings kind of thing. But yeah, it's been an awesome year. And Call of Duty, I haven't even really gotten to dive in like I want just yet. Because I also want to play zombies on that too, being the zombie fan I am. So
Right. Yeah, so Tony Newman says Tactica this year. Yeah, I just looked it up. I thought it was this year because I thought I played it like January, February, but yeah, it was November of last year. So that one hit last year. Yeah, absolutely crazy year overall. And Call of Duty, huge. I've been playing more on PC with some of these games than I ever have before, but as we've seen with the year in review, is still heavily console gamer through and through. Pong, you've had maybe like 20 minutes or so now with the Path of Exile 2.
No, we're rocking closer to an hour here, but yeah.
What are you feeling on it?
I'm in the middle of an instance right now, which is cool. You can actually pause. Now, there's been some talk about this, whether or not people think this is too OP to have in a game like this, which is nice. You can pause it. So I'm in the middle of a freaking battle right now, and a minor boss battle because I'm doing an instance, which I haven't done yet, and he's actually pretty freaking damn tough. But I can pause it, so that's cool. Loving it, bro. The controller feels phenomenal. Like the more I play with this, the ease of use of everything menu wise is leaps and bounds ahead of where Path of Exile 1 was. Where Path of Exile 1 didn't have controller support initially, and they kind of just tacked it on later on and didn't have like a group of devs working on that. It was clunky. It was usable. I didn't have a problem with it, but it was still very clunky. This feels like it was made for console. So that is a huge step up, but sound, graphics, just the way the game feels. It's slower than PoE 1. So anybody who's played PoE 1 for any kind of period of time, unless it's been a long time, PoE 1 was fast. This is much slower, at least in the beginning, as you're ramping up your character. It is a slower more methodical type game than you might be used to. Not to say that it's like molasses or it's not like that. It's you're still moving, but it's different. But again, it's hard. This is Diablo 1, Diablo 2 stuff here. This is, I mean, you heard people throw around Souls like of ARPGs, whatever. It is difficult though, and especially to start out, you can get one shot. You've got to you can't turn off your brain like you can in like Diablo. Many times where you can just turn off your brain. You got to be thinking, and you actually have to dodge. You have to move around. You have to be aware of your situation. So yeah, loving it, bro. This is freaking dope, man. I'm playing a witch, by the way. Obviously, necromancer. I got my army started already.
Yeah.
That's what I love to do. Plus, the witch in PoE has curses that weaken enemies and that kind of stuff, and you can spread the curses out, which to me, that's freaking dope. I've got my skeleton archer already. I got one skeleton archer already. You can actually use them to shoot a poison arrow, so you get poison damage on top of it. It's freaking fun. The combinations already, though, I'm seeing, and I talked about that. That's the thing that separates Diablo, is that you're eventually start working through combinations depending on which character you're building, what type of character you're building. Their their abilities, you get these combo factors where you want to use your abilities in a series to get the biggest damage, and depending on what class, there's lots of classes that use much better combos than even the witch does early on. That is something that separates it automatically from Diablo, because that is something you need to use especially when you're facing mobs early on. It's freaking amazing, bro. This is, if you want to hop in, everybody, $30, you could do a lot worse than $30 on a lot of games for this right now. So if you don't mind early access, they're going to change a lot. You know, there might be some wipes.
Well, shit, Diablo 4 changed like a lot
a
after the
billion times.
initial launch,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
like,
But
I think
this game
tweaking
feels
is always
complete, bro. This feels complete. This does, some early access games don't feel complete. This already feels complete to me from an ARPG standpoint. Again, there are going to be broken things in here that completely, are way OP that people didn't find until later. There's going to be stuff like that. But right now, this just feels like I'm playing a full launched ARPG. Like, literally, and I'm just in the opening levels. I just went into my first instance. I totally forgot that the kind of the mini levels that you can walk into, like the dungeons, you got these instances that you got to run through. It's freaking amazing. It's huge. The map is freaking huge, like already. Like, it just feels awesome. So anyways,
I'm jealous right now.
Yeah. I'm telling you, just jump in. $30. Come on.
Yeah, but like, I'm gonna be playing indie and Stalker.
There's always time for ARPGs, brother. Always.
I know I'm gonna look at Fuzzy's year in review for 2025, and even all those games, he's gonna have like 1,500 hours in Path of Exile 2. It's gonna consume his life.
This is a fuzzy game. I'm not even lying.
Yeah.
Like, this is completely a fuzzy game. Like,
But maybe that's what he's afraid of.
Probably.
Yeah. Because I know, like, I used to do spreadsheets in the Division, and it's like I would go with like crazy builds for like status effect. Like, I didn't even want to do bullet damage or DPS damage. I wanted to create different ways of just fucking shit up kind of stuff. And it's like, if I can have all of the enemies dazed with one bullet, and then it's like they're melting from some sort of a status effect. Yeah, that was like awesome making that build. But yeah, I know. And Pong's talking about an archer that shoots a poison arrow doing continuous damage, and it's like, oh yeah, I can weaken them. That takes away their armor. So I would also need something that, with another curse that, keeps them in place or no, I'm already on the page right now looking at the $30 edition. I did not know that they had like a $159
Fuzz, they have a $480 version.
No.
Yes.
No,
it comes with physical items. You actually get an art book. You get a sweatshirt sent to you. But yes, $480. They have it.
No, I'm not going that far. No. But yeah,
it's so good. It's so good, guys. It's so good.
I will hop into it when I finish at least one game, if not two. I want to complete. Like, if it means completing Stalker 2, so be it. But I don't think I'll do that. But Indiana Jones, I think I can complete. So once I complete that, that's
Have people talked about?
I hate to do a speed run this weekend.
Have the reviews said about how long it is for like not one of these ridiculously short playthroughs, but like a regular length playthrough for Indiana Jones? Has anybody seen?
I
I thought it
heard.
was like 40 hours. I think it was like you could do in 20 something hours, but like 40 if you're doing like side content.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna say, Mr. Maddie Plays said that he put in between 25 and 30, and he still had stuff to do.
Yeah. I saw somebody say they had 30 plus hours, they hadn't finished it yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like
it's
that's
a
pretty
big game.
that's a big game for that kind of game.
Mr. Maddie Plays said he was shocked. Like Maddie was like, I was shocked to see how big this game is. Like I did not think they did this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy for this style of game, you know?
yeah.
That's a long game. That's a lot of content there, bro. That's a passion project for years and years. Put a lot of effort into this. Yeah, so, like one other thing I was thinking about when we're talking about this stuff was just the back to that whole narrative thing about releases, right? And not having a lot of content and all those other kind of things for like long periods of time. Well, like one thing that Xbox has done, when if you can count this or you don't want to count it, that's fine. But all these, like we talk about all these updates to these ongoing games and stuff like that, the Forza stuff, you know, Diablo seasons or free add-on content to Starfield that they've updated, even not part of Shattered Space, or there's been so many different games get just massive amounts of free extra content. Age of Mythology Retold, which came out a few months back, already has a free huge update for it as well. So many games. But what's weird is that people would say that PlayStation had stuff all year round. And I got a question, like, in this regard, is it because they're counting something like Last of Us 2 Remake?
Yeah, and they had Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, right? So,
But yeah, but are we counting first party or not? Like, because
second party, yeah, no, they we know this. It doesn't remain the same. When it's Sony, it's perfectly normal. When it's Xbox, it's not. So
right. So, if you can play the game, right, or it's new content to play, and the reason I bring up The Last of Us 2 Remake, right, because it was a paid for thing, right, that they released, where it's the same game, but almost entirely, right? So you can choose to count something like that, or you can count something that's giving you actual free extra new content that Xbox gives you on games that are also existing, but you don't have to pay for it. But because you don't have to pay for it, it doesn't count.
Oh, like Fallout 4?
Right.
You got new costumes and outfits to match the TV series, and they did that upgraded graphics and frame rate.
But just like put that in perspective though, like extra content, like hours and hours of extra gameplay and all these other things doesn't count because they gave it to us for free, so it doesn't count as a release. But Last of Us 2 Remake does because they charged for it, even though it's the same game and it's not a bunch of new content. It's just reskinned, pretty much new updated graphics, right? So I'm just asking you as Xbox fans, which would you rather have? For anybody complaining about, hey, we didn't have a lot between here and there, what would you rather have? For me personally, I'll take the actual new stuff that I get to spend time with playing and not have to pay for, as opposed to rehash things I'm paying for again. Even though it doesn't necessarily check the box as like a brand new game release. For your arguments. Anyway, I just wanted to make that.
Yeah, the obvious answer is you should pay for games that are rehashed that are less than 5 years old.
No, thank
you. I don't know. I just look at it this way: as somebody that actually turns his PS5 on sparingly now, they're trying to do monthly updates with GT7.
Which I'll give
Uh,
credit to GT7. Like that's what GT7 is like in Helldivers 2, right?
mhm.
Those two are doing it right. Those are the
Yeah,
only two games that I can think of that really get this with PlayStation.
but the drawback is when I look at the kind of updates that they do, where it's like 3 cars and no real other content, and then Forza gives me like 6 cars and 2 modes, or at least one mode, and then maybe a couple of different playlist type things. I, I don't really count those 3 cars, even when it was 5 cars and a track. That's a fictional track from Gran Turismo 2 or something.
Mm.
I'd rather have like 5 or 6 new cars that are fairly new, like not just new to Gran Turismo, but new, like past, like newer than 2022, that are not fictional cars, like concept cars. That's what I would like to see from Gran Turismo, but or see new tracks that are actual real tracks, like was it Circuit of Tomorrow, or was it no Coda, Circuit of the Americas, which is the one in Texas. I don't know how far you are from that one, but that one they need in Gran Turismo. It's already in, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's already in Forza. I gotta double check. I know it's in Motorsport 7, but I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know.
It's just something I wanted to say. Jasper said, I don't know, that guitar mode in The Last of Us 2 had 100 plus hours of entertainment. Hey, yeah. There's a guitar mode in Stalker 2.
Yep.
Absolutely is. So something else that happened today. We talked about some of the other cool random news, but this also got put out there that Ubisoft shares were put on pause.
Yep.
So supposedly Guillermo family is actually seeking a buyout, but wants to maintain control or something, which is strange, and looking to Tencent. Interesting. Who would have ever thought that this was a possibility?
I I just wish the Guillermo family would just take the money and run. Just stop what you're doing, because you're ruining your legacy basically at this point.
Oh, his legacy
Um,
shot. Yeah. It's
yeah, I don't
they
know.
grew an amazing company and then they destroyed it.
Yeah, I mean,
Sad.
shares went up. That's good. Looking at
Where they're going up today because this, well, they can't because trading's
well,
paused, right?
before, I guess
Before?
they closed it off. I guess because the rumor got out a little early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People were thinking there's going to be some kind of buyout that's going to cause their share prices to increase, right?
Yeah.
The deal is, Mav, is obviously with Tencent, it makes a lot of sense just because they've already bought into the
Guillermo
Guillermo family shares, right? So
Yeah.
whatever. Tencent's got deep pockets. The big thing is this is going to be messy, like we talked about last night. It's going to be messy no matter what happens here, but something has to give. Ubisoft is in a world of hurt. The decisions made, especially the amount of games that they've either brought out and then seen fail, canceled prior to launch, is mounting. It's becoming pretty big, actually. It's a testament to how big Ubisoft is that they could even weather how many times they've tried stuff and it hasn't worked at this point. But they're running out. They're running out of chances. So it made total sense that this was going to eventually happen. And it's just going to suck from a human standpoint, because for an industry that has seen a lot of turmoil and a lot of layoffs already and a lot of good people looking a lot of talented people looking for work. Ubisoft, there's going to be a lot of cuts. Even if it's Tencent, who already has bought into the Guillermo family shares, it doesn't matter. Tencent, it's a bloated company, and they're going to make cuts to bring it back to profitability. Because they're going to have to. They don't have anything in the pipeline that's going to save them, like we talked about last night, Matt. There's just nothing that's going to save this company.
Yeah.
Like a one game, silver bullet that's going to cure all their ills. They don't have a GTA coming anytime soon, right? They don't have even a Final Fantasy 14 coming anytime soon, right? They've got one game right now, like we talked about last night, in Rainbow Six Siege, that is carrying the bucket monthly as a recurring revenue stream. And they have one franchise that has been extremely, profitable for them, and that's Assassin's Creed. But with Assassin's Creed, there is now a problem. And there is a dip in the popularity of Assassin's Creed. They peaked with Valhalla. They made this amazing roadmap. Again, for me, it was an amazing roadmap. But they have rough waters, and that started with Shadows getting delayed again this year, and the changes they had to make around that game, and issuing refunds to all the pre-orders out the gate, that hurts. And so they don't even have really that to fall back on anymore either. So you're talking about Rainbow Six Siege, and that's pretty much it. We looked at the numbers last night for some of their other games, Mav. It's bleak. It is bleak for current users, like on Steam. And I know Steam's only one spot. I get that. Ubisoft is massively popular on console, right? But even to that degree, there's no way they're doing any kind of significant numbers on console with any of those games, because all you got to do is look at the charts. None of their games chart, right? None of their games chart. So, this is going to be a messy situation, and it's going to get ugly. And it's going to be, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good when this goes down, but this had to happen at some point. So we'll see. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully Yves. My problem being, my biggest thing, I'll end it here. My biggest thing though is if Tencent does wind up buying them, and they keep Yves and the Guillermo family in charge, like I'm going to look at that, even if they trim the company down, even if they get slim and trim, if you still have him and that leadership at the top making decisions, I don't see this turning around anytime soon, even under new ownership. I hope Tencent Group understands that it's Yves that is the problem, right? And that he has to go. Like he has no idea what he's doing in this industry anymore. At one point, him and his leadership team obviously did, because again, credit where credit's due, they built a massive company that put out some freaking incredible franchises and, bought the Tom Clancy IP when people knew who Tom Clancy was from movies and books. But to that point, we really hadn't seen kind of like that style a whole lot in video games. And they had the foresight to take Tom Clancy, and not just one part of Tom Clancy, but multiple pieces of his books and movies and IP, and create 5 franchises that were great. I'm just counting off the top of my head, like 5 fantastic franchises out of that one IP. They were at the pinnacle at one point in this industry, but where they are now, Yves has lost it. He doesn't have his finger on the pulse of the industry anymore. He doesn't understand gamers anymore. He sees dollars and cents only and chases the golden pots everywhere, and doesn't understand that his teams, because of that, are not focused on what made them great in the first place, which was fantastic, fun games all the time. Again, there's been glimpses. Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, they've all done very well, right? Division, right, had its moments. They've had those spots, but not the consistency that they used to, and that eventually catches up to you. So, sorry, long-winded answer, but anyways, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, man. I have this. Is it Reuters or Reuters? How do you say it?
Reuters.
Reuters. All right. I got the report from Reuters, and I was going to kind of go through it a little bit. Ubisoft shareholders in talks over possible buyout terms, sources say. Shareholders of Ubisoft are considering how to structure a possible buyout of the Assassin's Creed video game maker without reducing the founding family's control. Two people familiar with the matter told Reuters. Say, I can't.
Reuters.
Reuters. I've said every single time I can't say the name for some reason. Reuters. The Guillermo family, which is the largest and founding shareholder, has been in talks with Tencent and other investors in recent weeks about funding a management-led buyout of France's largest video game maker. The people said, speaking on condition of anonymity. This is again this is like them trying to get into the lifeline, pretty much, right? They already got their lifeline when Tencent bought 50% of their family company, right? At that point, that was their lifeline. But now they're asking for another lifeline, but to still remain in control. Like, can you take 80% of our company and we still be in control? Can
Nope.
we do somehow make this happen, please? Because we want control, because we want to dictate this business still and still profit off of it if it ever does become successful again, I guess. I don't know. So, however, the Gambo family has indicated it would like to retain control it has over the company, which also makes Just Dance, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's video game series as part of a deal, people said. Tencent, currently the second largest shareholder in Ubisoft and China's biggest social network and gaming firm, has yet to decide whether to participate in the buyout and increase its stake in the company, one of the people said. This is partly because it has asked for a greater say on future board decisions, including cash flow distribution in return for financing the deal, which has not been agreed upon with the Guillermo family, the person added. This is a struggle for control over what this potential deal has. Again, I'm going to read that because this is I think the biggest hiccup for Tencent and any acquisition that would end up happening for them. It says this is partly because Tencent has asked for a greater say on future board decisions, including cash flow distribution in return for financing the deal, which has not been agreed upon with the Guillermo family. So Tencent, if they're saying we're gonna, pony up this money, we're going to acquire more of the company. We want to be more in charge of some of the decisions and how the money's being spent, as well as some of the future board members, which obviously you would think would be people that they want on the board, right? So, discussions between the two parties are ongoing as Tencent also wants to prevent any potential hostile takeover of Ubisoft by other investors, said the person, adding that Tencent's plan is to remain patient and wait for the founding family to agree to a deal. So Tencent's plan is just watch them burn until they get so desperate they'll just take whatever deal that they can get, because until it gets to a point to where there's a chance for a hostile takeover from somebody else, then Tencent will strike. So they're playing a game, I guess, on their end as well. I'm not sure. Somebody else becomes a major player. Tencent may opt to increase its stake in Ubisoft as it considers its current direct holding of almost 10% and Ubisoft sufficient for maintaining its gaming business cooperation with the company, the person added. Tencent declined to comment. A representative of the Gamo family did not respond to a request for comment. We remain committed to making decisions in the best interest of all of our stakeholders, a spokesman for Ubisoft said. In this context, as we have already indicated, the company is also reviewing all its strategic options. Yeah, I'm sure you are. You got to be looking at everything right now. In October, Ubisoft said it regularly reviewed all its strategic options, but declined to further comment on a report of buyout interest. Shares in Ubisoft rose as much as 16% after the Reuters report. Its shares were trading up 12.1 at 13.2 euros by 14:45 GMT. The buyout talks come as some minority shareholders, including AJ Investments, have been pushing for either a take private or a sale of Ubisoft to a strategic investor amid the stock price plunge. The company shares fell to the lowest level in the last decade in September after it cut its outlook on weaker than expected sales and postponed the launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows. This week, it announced it would discontinue development of its gaming title X Defiant, and as a consequence, close its production studios in San Francisco and Osaka, and ramp down production in Sydney. Ubisoft is run by the Guillermo family, which owns 15% of the firm. Followed by, and they probably only own 15% because they've had to do so many damn deals over the years. Back in the day, there was a potential hostile takeover from Vivendi that they made a huge deal for. Then there was a few years back this other deal that they did with Tencent that where they bought into the Guillermo family and all these other kind of things. So like they're at this point now where there's the majority shareholder by a slim margin just to be able to hold on to control, right? Um, the family held about 20.5% of Ubisoft's net voting rights, while Tencent owned 9.2% as of the end of April, as per the firm's last annual report. So, that was the Reuters report, and yeah, it is very bad right now. I am honestly really kind of surprised at the is it pride? What is it that's keeping the Guillermo family latching onto this and
Ego, it's their baby.
not being able to let go?
It's their baby.
Right?
It's their baby. It's ego. It's their baby. They created it. They cultivated it. In Yves' mind, it's his business, right? It's what made. It's kind of his identity, right? Is that they own Ubisoft, right? And to give that up means that you utterly, at the end of the day, failed. Even if those of us outside the industry could sit back and go, "This is a tough industry," and to take Ubisoft to where they did is already, again, like I said in my previous little talk, that I got to give them credit where credit's due. They took it to the pinnacle of the industry at one point. But it's tough to give up your baby, man, right? It's you created this, you fostered it, it's yours, right? So yeah, no. So I mean, obviously, at some point you're supposed to be able to look in the mirror, especially at his age. You should be able to look in the mirror and just say, maybe it's time. Maybe I've tried, but obviously I just don't have it anymore. I don't have the Midas touch anymore for whatever reason, and move on, especially with all the other stuff. We're not even just talking about the making of the games and the success or failure of the games, the products themselves. It's all the HR problems that he allowed to go on and continues to go on that they haven't fixed, according to a lot of people in that company. It's easy to say if I were in those shoes, I'd have to look at myself in the mirror and go, yeah, it's time. But I need to fade off into the distance. Like, this was my baby. I kind of screwed it up. I would love to fix it, but obviously we're not in a position to. I need somebody else to do it, and I've done enough damage at this point. I got to walk away. I have to walk away. So, but again, obviously they're not. The Yves and the Guillermo family are not. So it is what it is.
I'm curious. Okay, so let's say shit hits the fan, right? Like they play this waiting game. The Guillermo family trying to maintain control. Tencent, we're just gonna watch them burn until they can't help it, right? And at some point they pull the trigger. Tencent gains more control, right? At this point, maybe they end up having complete control. I don't know. But like in the world, I want to think about this. I want to ask you this, Fuzz. In a world where Tencent is in charge of Ubisoft, what happens at Ubisoft? Like what happens to the games, the IPs, the brands, the development of things, like what is? I don't think obviously they would run it the same,
I think the Tom Clancy stuff gets a higher priority and higher focus. I've said this before. The whole reason why Tencent's even involved with them is for that Tom Clancy IP. Like, they've wanted an American military base, like something that's novel and that would draw attention, and it's a valuable IP. I mean, short of like something like Call of Duty, which is probably out of their price range or accessibility for them to even get involved in that. Tom Clancy is very valuable to them. So I could see if they get the keys to the mansion at that point, everything Tom Clancy gets priority, and we will see probably a Splinter Cell within a 2 to 3 year period. Like, they will force out, they'll look to see what some of those projects were and probably force them out. We'll see a continuation of mobile Tom Clancy games as well, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but they'll test the waters. Worst case scenario, they've had some of their own internal stuff that has been way more successful, so they may just rebrand some of their mobile military shooters into a Tom Clancy universe type game, and then just do away with some of the stuff that's existing on the mobile side of things with Ubisoft. But we definitely see a Division 3, like that's a given. We see a Splinter Cell, that's a given. We see a Ghost Recon within a short period of time, and we see probably the best transition for Rainbow Six as far as either being expanded or being brought back to the pinnacle of attention. And looking at what their competitors tried to do, but only did on a smaller scale with like Ready or Not. Yeah, there was some controversy with the active shooter in like a school setting kind of thing, which they kind of eventually changed to like a play school, or I forget what they kind of changed it to, but I could see them focusing on that. The Assassin's Creed IP would get some attention. I don't know if they would, knowing Tencent, they would probably try to figure out a way to bring back multiplayer for that, and see if they can find a way to monetize it in a way that makes sense to keep that series alive. It might be the best step forward for Assassin's Creed. I'm kind of unsure on how that turns out.
Yeah.
We definitely see Watch Dogs come back, but it will probably have a different theme or different, I guess, mood to it to some extent. I can see that one being more an espionage type of thing with like a rebel element to it, but I see Watch Dogs making a comeback.
Yeah.
Far Cry might have a more controversial version come out. Like, even though it was kind of a misnomer with the whole Far Cry 5 on where or what it was to be, and people kind of assumed what it was going to be. But I could see something leaning into more of what that controversy was believed to be if they have their go with it. So you would probably see another Far Cry that might be US based or another US ally based type of situation that, kind of pokes fun at the West to some extent.
Right.
I see them probably even expanding on like the dance party stuff and any music and rhythm based things, just because there's a market over there for them as well, and they have some arcade based machines that they do that with, globally, as well as some other things, at least in their mainland area. So I could see that being improved upon. But as far as these random COD killer type games, I think they kind of put that to rest. Maybe they pump up some of their COD killing, games with a Tom Clancy title. Like they have a few of their own games that are popular more so in the East, kind of along the lines of like PUBG type stuff, PUBG Mobile. I don't know if I don't think that's still them. I forget who. I'm not sure if I think Tencent owns PUBG. if I'm not mistaken, or there's another party that owns that studio.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Player Unknown or something, but they have things that are kind of like clones of that. They have a clone of like Battlefield, so those might just get rebranded in a Tom Clancy universe. But for the shooter fans, it would be huge. I can see that being their priority, but things like Crew or the Motorfest might go on the wayside, or they might just continue to see if they can support it and see if they can grow it, but that might fall on the wayside at some point. Um, Things like what was that was like almost like the Legend of Zelda game that they had. What was that one called?
Immortals.
It was going to be
Immortals.
Monster
Yeah.
Immortals.
something. Immortals. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that continues to survive.
They canceled the second one, so
yeah,
maybe they
but
bring it back.
they'll probably look at a lot of those canceled games and see how far along they are and see if they can't make a quick buck on releasing them, or kind of finishing them up and release them. They'll probably have, some people will probably refer to it as like, not cannon fodder, but like just not asset flips either, but just basically these quick games that they put out there, make some of their money back on what was put as far as time and investment and go from there. But honestly, since Sony didn't do the buy of Ubisoft before the whole streaming service stuff for Call of Duty and whatnot, I think Tencent, just short of Microsoft, which I think they're not allowed to buy them for 10 years or something, I think Tencent is probably the best option. I don't think there's another publisher that's going to invest and either redirect some of the talent they have and not do mass layoffs or as massive of a layoff kind of thing. I think, Tencent being what they are, they could find other projects to have them be support roles. Now, there will be some cuts, obviously, but I think Tencent's the best option. But if we could rewind 2 to 4 years ago, as much as I would hate it, PlayStation would have been the better home. And then you would have Jade Raymond now have Assassin's Creed instead of making some, games as a service that she might not even want to make instead, kind of thing, or just turn Assassin's Creed into a games as a service. You would have things like what is that? I can't even remember the name now. What is the military shooter? Oh, SOCOM. You would have, you would definitely have a SOCOM, or at least something in the vein of SOCOM if they had taken them over. But yeah, that boat was missed, and then the minute they bought Bungie, they basically spent their liquid assets on that were going to be for gaming on that, and I don't think they've even paid that off yet. So they missed that opportunity. But I think it would be a positive, but it's going to have some weird messaging that will be like sneak disses to the West. You can count on that. I guarantee you.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy to think about all the possibilities. I see Pong getting frustrated with his game.
No, I'm looking at the skill tree and I'm trying to figure out which way I want to go. And I found the way that I wanted to go, but then I found the other side has shit that I really want to for my minions as well. So
is that where you're like pointing? You were like,
yeah, I was like, oh, there it is,
with?
because I needed my, because you, again, if you guys haven't seen, obviously the passive skill tree, it's massive, so you have to look ahead and start pathing out which way you need to go for certain things. And I finally found a bunch of the minion stuff. I could have used the search function. There is a search function, so you could do it a lot easier. But I was having fun reading and kind of seeing what was coming before all of that. But I finally found the spot. But then I went to the other side. Sure enough, there's a nice freaking big mass of minion shit over on the other side too. So now I gotta figure out which way I want. I love this game. This is, again, I played like 80 hours of PoE 1, so I started getting into the skill tree a little bit. But I just it is amazing to go through and see the flexibility and like all the potential, like the possibilities of what you can do with your builds, and now they made it easier to respec, a lot easier to respec, so you can make mistakes and go back. So, which is going to be nice for new people because you're going to make mistakes no matter what. I'm going to make massive mistakes here because I'm not even close to being an expert on PoE. But this is just so much fun, man. I love this shit. This is why I wanted this game so bad.
Yeah, I'm
It's so damn
sold.
cool. It's so cool, bro.
Yeah, Jasper. I was already thinking about this, and
crafted,
then
yeah.
Jasper put this in the chat. The Tom Clancy has already rolled in his grave, but for his shit to be owned by the Chinese, he might pop out his grave. Like,
Come back
I mean,
from the dead. He might come back from the dead and just nuke everybody just because.
I mean, like,
Tom
Tom Clancy and like all of his books and everything that he like, all the movies that were made based on his, like, I mean, it's American military versus communism and all these other kind of things. Like, this is all what it's kind of based on.
Had he still been alive, all the Russia books that he wrote would have now been China books. He would have been writing books about our government versus China. Like that's what it would have been now at this point. Like for the past probably like 20 years, he would have been writing that way, 15 years. But that is a fact. It is pretty nuts to even think that that's a possibility. Like,
Right. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like the Clancy brand being owned by not just being owned by a Chinese company, but like Tencent, like had forced influence from actual Chinese government who had forced themselves into their board and everything as well. So that, like, this is all the stuff that happens. So like Tom Clancy, anything that happens video games wise within the Clancy universe could be influenced by the actual Chinese government, which would be insane. Just twist of things. Just like, it's just nuts, man.
Can you imagine the books that he would have had on Taiwan alone, Fuzzy? Like, can you imagine the in-depth, like the start of the Taiwan War? Like, I just can only. My dad read Clancy, like, so I grew up around Clancy. My stepdad was a massive reader of Clancy, but I just can't imagine what he would have come up with now with all the drone shit and all that kind of stuff. Because he did write some stuff about China. China was in there, right? But they weren't the power that they are now. Like, that would have just he would have had a whole second life as an author writing bestsellers, and we would have had some crazy ass movies out of those too. Jesus.
I grew up loving the Clancy movies, man.
Yes,
it's like it,
Hunt for
I think
all of them,
a few good men, right?
All of them. Oh my god, bro.
Yeah,
you go down the list, it's just so freaking good.
There was several great ones, man. You had all these gaming franchises too. Like Ubisoft handled it pretty damn well to start with, I think.
Until XUP.
Well, like, yeah, and it seems like it's just like, whoop. Now they're after something else. It's like everything else is second. They don't care about the actual what the brand is around anymore. So here's where I'm gonna again throw the hat in the ring for. I know it's not everybody's favorite company, right? But Amazon. I'm gonna throw it out there, right? Okay, so we got Amazon is getting more into gaming. They have their cloud service Luna. They have started doing more publishing as well. They're now also publishing games that are not just on Luna and stuff. They're also publishing games that are going to console, right? They took on Tomb Raider. Amazon also has handled the Clancy brand pretty damn well for their shows on Prime.
Yeah.
They've done some good stuff. The Jack Ryan show is absolutely great. They had the Without Remorse movie that was absolutely great. And when I'm looking at what I want best for Ubisoft, I'm really talking about what I want best for the Tom Clancy video game franchises. Right?
Yeah.
And for me, I look at it like out of all the companies who could potentially be able to take on this, I would say who wants to make a giant leap into gaming, right? That is already growing into it, but needs resources, needs development, needs those things, needs IP. Amazon, if they are serious, they could make an offer, take complete control of Ubisoft, restructure the devs, bring in some big time guys to help you do it, right? Reshape the studios, all these other kind of things, and you have what was it like? How many employees at Ubisoft as of
They're about
last?
19,000 right now. They were over 20 at one point, but they're
Right.
down to about 19 now.
So you got 19,000 development, or that's not just all developers, but massive amount of studios and developers and IP at your disposal to feed Luna, right? Which and you're not having to pay for Ubisoft to be on Luna and all that other however the deals working before. And you can make the money off the games going out of the other places, really get into gaming, get it, which would make sense for their cloud ambitions as well, because they are one of the few companies that can hold a toe with Xbox and Microsoft with that kind of stuff as well, right? AWS, they have Luna. So if they are serious about really wanting to get into gaming, you need first party development power. Now, it's not the most streamlined, successful thing that's out there right now, but the base is there, right? You just need the leadership to come in and fix it. So I'm going to make a call for Amazon and trust that they would hopefully, and imagine what they could do mixing Prime and all these other kind of things with all this stuff. Like, and they would also have IPs that they're acquiring to be able to utilize for the TV stuff that they do as well, right? You could now have Assassin's Creed shows and movies, or Splinter Cell, all these other kind of things that they could do. I think Far Cry, you get a Far Cry content. Like, there's several popular brands that they could utilize. So Amazon, I'm throwing out your name as get more into it. Take a deep dive into gaming and go get Ubisoft. Bail them out, buy the company completely, 100% control. Go Jeff Bezos, open your checkbook. Go see Yves in France. Go pay him a visit and make him an offer he can't refuse.
Mhm.
And let's see Ubisoft become part of Amazon and turn it around. That would be interesting, man. That'd be a crazy twist if something like that happened. I'm curious what you think about my idea.
Amazon is a good choice. I mean, they definitely would handle from a TV or that transmedia stuff. I think they would handle it the best. The only thing I'm afraid of is that they would somehow get suckered into letting the Eves family stay on board.
Yeah, right.
That would be my only fear, because they'd be like, oh well, they've run the company this far, even though
Into the
they've kind of
ground.
run into the ground, but they would fall for Eve's spiel, and he'd be there for at least a year or two, and then they'd realize, like, halfway into that first year that yeah dude, you got to go, and he's probably already cost them a couple $1 billion. So that would be my only fear. But actually Amazon would be pretty cool, but then Amazon getting into that arena pretty big with an IP like Tom Clancy, and them having the money to actually put it to use with Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six, The Division, all of those. And they would have something like Assassin's Creed, which that would work. But man, oh man, Microsoft is going to have to keep an eye on them at that point, because
That's what I'm talking about, though, right? Like, if Amazon's serious about competing in that space with Microsoft, you make it. You don't just keep doing what they're doing now, right? And growing, which they're doing. I mean, I think they're taking their steps, and they've been for a company as large as Amazon is, I mean, they're not fully into gaming, right?
Mhm.
They're for a company that size, what they've invested so far is big and it's growing, but it's like just a small, tiny aspect of the other stuff that they do, right? But
Yeah.
if they're serious, like we've seen Xbox, how much larger has become a part of Microsoft in these last several years, especially after the ABK acquisition. That was Xbox's bold move, right? Now you're talking
Mhm.
about a $50 billion move compared to like a $3 billion move. It's not like the same, you know?
No.
But as far as making it a serious play and saying, "We're not no longer just gonna go be doing these publishing deals for these, like, Korean games or publishing deals for, IP from these, like Tomb Raider now," which was, surprising when we saw that, right? They have another game that they're also doing multi-plat, I can't forget what that is, as well, but I remember seeing that for the first time, I was like, "Oh, Amazon was publishing that?" And then after that, the Tomb Raider thing got announced. So they're definitely looking that direction and going more than just their own services and PC and stuff, but they're looking to, "Hey, we're gonna becoming more of a publisher." So, but this would be a big step. Now, um, Fuzzy Tomato said, "I don't think any of these companies is gonna add 19,000 employees right now." Yeah, I 100% agree. If anybody actually ends up acquiring Ubisoft at the end of the day, you're gonna see massive restructuring. You're gonna see a lot of people you're gonna see a lot of streamlining is what I'll say,
Yeah.
and you can see that 19,000 get cut in half or even more, right?
Yeah.
Who knows exactly? And that's no matter, I think, whoever acquires them. If Tencent retains control, it becomes more controlling, you're probably gonna see a little less changes than some of the other ones because they're already kind of involved and mixed in with Ubisoft already. Um, but it'll be interesting to see, what's going on. And I just wish there was another player there, and I think it'd be good for Xbox and Microsoft for Amazon to be a serious competitor because, like, that's what us as consumers. Well, I don't think it'd be good for them. It'd be good for us, right? And us as consumers, right, should want another big player that are that has the capability of offering the same kind of services in the future that Xbox has to keep them honest with their pricing, with the features that they're adding to the services and all those things. Because Microsoft right now has way more capability than any of these other players in gaming with way more assets, way more um with the cloud, everything they're doing with Xbox everywhere, all this other kind of stuff. You look 10 years down the line with the lead that they already have in all those areas with where things are going. Like for us as consumers, like I don't see PlayStation being able to keep up with that tech wise and services wise. So another big player that actually starts to get a lot of consumers would be good. It's just dependent on if they make a play for it, right? I think the start was Luna,
Yeah.
then you have these other things, but now get the IPs, get the devs, take that next leap. It would be a massive leap for them, but we'll see. I don't
I
know.
mean, it would probably be the thing that would push cloud gaming into being a more acceptable thing because Microsoft would have to tighten up on their bit rate and stuff like that. Um, Amazon is the biggest cloud company, but not in gaming yet. Their stuff is all that, the Netflix stuff, every other cloud company that's not using
Yeah,
Azure is using Amazon, and the majority of them are using Amazon, with Azure being very close second. But
yeah.
competition, yeah, we benefit from it, but man, that's gonna be a dirty fight that I'm gonna kind of love some of the benefits of because that would probably lock the price for Game Pass Ultimate for a few years, while Amazon's like, 14.99,
Right.
and we got our own day and date with all the Ubisoft Plus stuff. Yeah, that's now part of Luna. So, and
Oh
then I
man.
guess what would happen with the cloud streaming though, with Call of Duty?
I mean, it's already on Luna. It's already supposed to be going to Luna, right? Because it was part of
Yeah,
Ubisoft Plus and stuff, which was supposed to be on Luna. Like that was part of the announcements with the Ubisoft Cloud deal. So I guess it would just remain, or so that whatever deal was in place would just stay. Because really, in that case, nothing would really change. I
Well,
guess.
you would be the company buying your deal out. So now you own your own deal. So
Yeah, I don't know. Because Ubisoft Plus is on Luna, right?
Yeah.
And then Ubisoft Plus is Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on Ubisoft Plus right now? Cloud? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't supposed to be. I'm just curious.
It should be, but then
has anybody that has Ubisoft Plus seen if it's there? I haven't seen anybody mention this since it released.
We've been too busy playing in Game Pass.
Does anybody know if they held up their end of the bargain? Like maybe it wasn't have to start yet. I don't know how this works. I don't know how the technical stuff works, but yeah, I remember Activision Blizzard games on Ubisoft Plus. What you need to know, like here's all these articles about ABK games on Ubisoft Plus, but is Black Ops 6 on Ubisoft Plus?
Let me see.
Does anybody know?
I'm trying to find. Let's see. What is there on the homepage?
I don't see anything on it.
Yeah, I don't see anything either.
I don't think it was
about coming soon.
They just control the cloud streaming rights, right? For all of it.
Yeah, but they announced that Activision Blizzard games coming to Ubisoft Plus. Like as part of Ubisoft made this announcement after that agreement was signed. It says
that didn't include Call of Duty, I don't think, right?
Yeah, streaming rights to games like Call of Duty and more. Yeah.
Okay.
It says Ubisoft today. This was back in August of 2023. It says Ubisoft today announced the signing of an agreement which will give Ubisoft Cloud streaming rights to games like Call of Duty and more, coming into effect upon the completion of Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. This agreement includes the complete slate of current Activision Blizzard games, as well as their new titles launching in the 15 years after the closing of Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The games will land on Ubisoft Plus, while also allowing Ubisoft to license them to cloud gaming companies, service providers, and console makers. With a single subscription to Ubisoft Plus, multi-access players will soon be able to play their favorite Ubisoft games and stream their favorite Activision Blizzard games across multiple platforms, including PC, Xbox consoles, and Luna, Amazon Luna, and on the PlayStation platform through Ubisoft Plus Classics. The agreement will offer players even greater access to a large library of beloved and classic titles, as well as the newest releases, all through cloud streaming. Ubisoft will announce more about how and when Activision Blizzard titles will be added to Ubisoft Plus and other cloud gaming platforms in the future. And then in the meantime, discover what's available with Ubisoft Plus and stay tuned to Ubisoft News homepage. But that was August.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm looking. They've got no Activision Blizzard games on.
So this is like almost a year and a half ago.
I'm looking through their catalog right now. I haven't seen one yet.
Yeah.
So no, they
even under their cloud gaming, they're not specific on what's in that library. It just says coming soon and growing library. It's like, oh, that's great. Can you show what it is?
They're not ready.
Oh wait, here are few games available. Let's see.
I don't see anything.
Luna Cloud Gaming. Let's see, shooters. Nope. No. Just Far Cry, Rainbow, Division.
Yeah, there's nothing on there. They're not ready. Maybe that's why Xbox signed it, because they knew that Ubisoft wouldn't get their shit together and never put it on there. Maybe.
Hey, you hold a stash for us for a bit?
Exactly. We know you guys aren't going to do shit with it, Yves. Just can you sign this agreement and say you're going to do everything? Like, it kind of seems that way, because yes, there's not one single one that I could find.
Yeah. So here's some money. Just make it look good.
Just take.
I wonder I wonder if there's some kind of stipulation about they had to do the back end work, the infrastructure or
Probably. I mean,
something
yeah, Ubisoft used their own,
to
I'm
connect
sure.
everything and stuff. Oh, like,
Yeah.
Wow.
But you would have thought they would have at least signed some deals to bring it to other cloud.
I mean, not even any of the old shit.
Yeah,
Not even any of the old
shit.
stuff that
Right.
we've been getting, like the random stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
maybe that's the problem with Ubisoft. Maybe that's why they're failing. They can't even do the easy stuff. It's like Microsoft gave them a layup, and they're like, "Wait, what? We got to do what?
What are we supposed to do with this shit?"
I mean, it was a huge thing. They made a big announcement about it.
They did,
you know. And I remember Amazon and Luna had made an announcement about it too, right after that. So, but going back to the Amazon thing, there was a time when, remember, back when Amazon was first starting to get into game development, they had brought in Double Helix. They acquired Double Helix and some other developers and stuff, and they were going to make their own games, right? They were like, "Oh, this isn't working." So they closed those studios, and they restructured into just having retain some of the people to be still in charge, kind of their gaming side. But then they went more into like publishing other companies' games, right? So, but I would say acquiring a publisher would be different than just building your own studios from scratch or acquiring single devs when you don't really have a lot of like track record yourself with doing game publishing and all these other kind of things, right? So I think acquiring a big publisher would kind of solve some of those things for them, even though it's Ubisoft. There's still a lot of know-how, right? They know how to grow it and run it into the ground. So they've seen both sides. They have a lot to learn from. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I think that's an insane long shot. I would just personally rather see something like that than Tencent.
Yeah.
Right. But it is what it is. Well, the Game Awards are around the corner, everybody. Next Thursday, we will be co-streaming the Game Awards here. The game announcement show that we're looking forward to. Plus, there's actually some awards that they're doing. And I just want to get some kind of like last minute thoughts about what kind of show we're gonna get. Do we expect this to be a huge announcement show? Because it's what it is. It's an announcement show. Or do we expect it to be more tame this year? Because he hasn't been really like. Sometimes Keely's putting out there like expectations for stuff like that, like he does for Summer Game Fest. He's done it for the Game Awards in the past as well. But I haven't really seen him put out any kind of expectation kind of level tweets about what kind of things we could expect, which he's known for doing that. He does it almost before every big show that he has. So I don't know what to go on here. And it's less than a week away now.
I think Xbox is better at keeping tight lips on what they tell them. Like, I don't think he knows. Like, if anything, it's probably like, yeah, we need a 15-minute slot here and a 10-minute slot there. But we'll let you know what the titles are, a few days in advance. And then it's like, oh, it's, the 15-minute slot's a AAA and the 10-minute slot's a AA. And then it almost seems like if it's anything like when he had Summer Games Fest, it's like, oh, we'll tell you the night before, or oh, we'll have the clip ready to roll. It's already been approved for YouTube, but we'll go ahead and give it to you the night before, or here it is. Don't stream it or upload it until tomorrow, or pull it from this site, official tomorrow morning, so you can put it in your thing. And I think he's probably kept in the dark just because it seems like they don't like how he leaks stuff. Although I think they purposely let him leak the price of the Xbox One X to some extent, just to kind of let him be the one that catches the arrows instead of Phil, kind of thing. But I don't think that went over as bad as what they may have anticipated it to go over as, but I don't know. I just get this weird feeling there's going to be something Blade level, but not Blade, obviously. And I like what you were saying before about how it might be from something from Bethesda for their was it Bethesda Online or
ZeniMax Online.
Yeah. So I'm hoping it's kind of what we talked about before. Starfield, even if it's multiplayer, like I joked about something somebody else had posted about on Twitter or whatever. It's like, maybe it's the multiplayer version of Starfield. And even if it's multiplayer, I don't care. Just imagine having a multiplayer version of Starfield will be big enough for me. Like there goes my ever hopping into Diablo 4 again. Yeah, I'll have Path of the Exiles and Diablo 4 will just vanish into the ether at that point, because we'll be building a fleet or an armada of ships to kind of pirate the our solar system or something along those lines.
I like your ideas.
Yeah. The Fuzzy, what did you make of the Starboy? Or not Starboy. What are we, the weekend? we're talking. We're the we. I'm a motherfucking Starboy. Starborn. This is Starborn. Registered trademark thing. And now Jez tweeted about this had a article about it way back earlier this year, but it's kind of making the rounds again a little bit. Is that the next expansion, or do you think it's something?
I think if you're going to make a multiplayer, having it where it's based around Starborn probably makes the most sense, because I know this is spoilery, but if you haven't made it this far in the game, to the point where Starborn comes after you, I don't know what you've been doing these past few months, but I would say Starborn probably makes sense more so for like a multiplayer. Just because if you're going to have it where it's PvE, Starborn makes perfect sense.
Okay.
It'll fit with the lore. It's going to be like a cross between Destiny and Starfield at that point, I think. And I think that would have enough legs to outdo what they're doing with Fallout 76, even with the resurgence in that. So definitely exciting if that's the case. And I'm going to be there for it for day one, even if I keep on losing my ships because of pirates. But it is what it is.
Y'all see that Keighley announced Kojima's going to be an announcer?
Yeah.
That's got to be OD. Please be OD.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be, he's just there to present a presenter.
He's just a presenter, supposedly, but he's probably there to maybe talk about something.
Yeah. Oh, and I also have something to show
Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding 2. And
the Death Stranding 2 podcast?
Yeah.
Or maybe the release date finally with the final trailer. Maybe. I don't know if he's ready to say for sure. But that's coming soon. So.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll be multiplayer out the gate. Day one. He owns the IP now.
Yeah. So, man.
And 505 is publishing. So.
The salt.
Oh, it's possible. It's possible for sure. I think we're gonna have a big show. I think there's gonna be. I do kind of buy into the hype. I always do with the TGAs, just because of how many eyes are. Again, 100. You could. Again, we can talk about Keighley all day long. Like, again, you guys all know about me and how I feel about it. But 100 million eyes on anything, in any way, shape, or form. And even if you say, oh, that's bullshit. Okay, we'll take half of that. 50 million eyes on one spot from all over. Not one fan base, but all fan bases. That's why Keighley can ask for as much money as he does for advertising, and people will pay. So I'm expecting, especially with the cost of the advertising going up, that also means that chances are you're going to have bigger announcements because these companies are paying more. They're not going to have some stupid announcements here, right? Or some low key announcements. Like if they're going to spend that kind of money at this show, it's going to be something massive for ROI. Like that's what they're going to do. And that's why this always, to me, is exciting because this is one of the biggest shows of the year, right? It's right, right around Christmas time. It's the holidays. It is coming into the next year. And now with the industry as big as it is, and as like we were just talking about, no months off, there are so many possibilities. Again, it sounds like Borderlands 4 potentially could be here. Like that's going to be big for me. I'm just super hyped. I think we are getting something big. I think Xbox is going to show up big here. I think Xbox has 1 or 2 big announcements here, right? And I truly do believe that. I think stuff that we didn't know about will show up. And potentially 1 game and maybe 1 piece of hardware, right? So we'll see. But I think it's gonna be fun as hell on Thursday. I got outside of the awards because again, I don't give a shit about the awards anymore at all. So you guys will see me roll my eyes when Elden Ring wins again. But the games and whatever else big we get there is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a special night. I think so.
Yeah. I'm expecting some cool announcements, man. Don't know what it's going to be. Whatever the other Xbox thing people have been rambling about the behind the scenes, maybe this is where it gets shown or announced around it.
Well, that whole thing with Jez and Tom Warren, right, saying pretty soon all this Xbox Anywhere will make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, we all agreed. I think that we believe that the Google stuff wasn't that. So if that wasn't it that they were talking about, then I'm assuming that whatever Tom Warren and Jez were talking about, this is the spot you show it, whatever it is. If it's something big, this is where it's at. Yeah. So I can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
Please be a handheld.
Please be a handheld.
Or like I was saying in the chat before, the software, because I know that's the whole reason why I thought the handheld was closer than several years away, like Phil said, because the software is already out there. It's already in testing phase. And no, I didn't sign an NDA because I did not volunteer to wipe my Steam Deck to put it on there. So yeah, there's software out there. So there's a device probably not too far behind it.
Yeah. Like it's gonna be interesting. So he said a few years. I'll take him on his word on that for the handheld. But I think that could
doesn't
be
mean
referring
you can't tease it.
Right. But it also could be referring to a typical handheld. Like maybe they have something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's lots of interesting things that could possibly happen. But it seems like there's some stuff happening pretty soon. At least announcements maybe or something like that. Other than that, I think we're gonna get like some big announcements from different publishers. Xbox, I think, will have maybe 2 or 3 trailers at this thing for big games. You could have something games that we've seen before, updated looks at, plus maybe 1 brand new game announcement. And then PlayStation will obviously be here with some stuff. I'm really curious what they're going to show. Maybe they finally give us another updated trailer for Wolverine. That would be pretty big to show at something like this. Or they could announce the whole Spider-Man 2 Venom expansion thing if they're actually doing that for next year as well. We'll see, man. Lots of things that could show up. But I'm expecting a fun show to watch. So come here, hang out with us on Thursday. And we'll be co-streaming. Anybody in the FunSpec fam that's free will be joining us, and we'll see maybe some other people will hop in as well. But instead of regular PM and the PM, it'll be a special edition of PM. But yeah, that's gonna do it for tonight, everybody. We got games to play, things to do, fun to have. And I hope you all had a good one. Thanks everybody for watching FSP. Not FSP, XUP. I got my shows mixed up. XUP here on Fun Speculation. And let's find out where we can find the one and only Fuzzy Belvedere.
Oh man, this was awesome being on here with you guys tonight. Always love doing this on Friday nights. Love being here with you, Pong and Mav. Love having as many people to interact as we had with the chat. Thank you guys for taking the time, watch us. Greatly appreciate it. Don't forget, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely helps us. And then for those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere or Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, basically everything but Facebook because reasons. But other than that, look forward to Shop Podcast tomorrow, 9 p.m. Well, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel tomorrow. And then Pixelated Echoes on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just do a search on YouTube for Pixelated Echo with me and 3-Bit. And then right back here for FSP on Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks again.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Fuzzy. And thanks for everything you always do here on the channel. Brett Bingham hit us with a $5 super chat. Shout out to Brett Bingham. Says, why the fuck does Jeff Sackboy Keighley look like Conway Twitty on screen? I saw somebody say with George Hamilton earlier.
Yeah, George with the fake tan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's obviously from the mask, right? They just took and superimposed him over the mask kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's Jim Carrey in The Mask, right? When he's holding the award like that.
Oh no, this was a picture of Keighley.
I don't really.
No, that's so
because his hair is not the same.
I'll give you the backstory on this picture after, but it comes from a real picture of Jeff Keighley. I'll just say that. Out of one of his award shows.
Okay,
I'll say it comes from one of his real pictures.
Yeah. Okay, all right, fair enough.
But yeah, thanks, Brett. Appreciate you. Hey, Pong Soul.
Yes, sir.
Where can everybody find you, sir?
You can find me playing Path of Exile 2, like I have tonight. Like, this is the rare. I think I've played, while we've been doing a show, I think I've played maybe like 3 times, I think, in the past. Couldn't help it. Path of Exile 2 is here, but you can find me playing that. But otherwise, no, thank you all for joining us tonight. Awesome show to sit here and talk with you and Fuzzy. And again, great conversations about some of the stuff going on. Obviously, next week is going to be Christmas, so it should be fun. We're going to have some big announcements after Thursday to talk about. So can't wait for next week. But yeah, chat, you guys are absolutely amazing coming out and supporting us and all the shows that you guys do. Again, without you, there are no shows. So same always love and respect to each and every single one of you, whether you're here for 5 minutes or the entire show, or whether you are watching us live or you're watching us in the future on playback. It does not matter. It's all the same, and it's never expected, but always appreciated, each and every single one of you. So thank you so much for that. You guys know how to find me, Pong Soul on the X, formerly known as Twitter, Pong Soul on Xbox and Steam and GOG and everywhere else. Follow me, I'll follow you back. And then, of course, got to let everybody know. Most of you, I think, know, because most of you travel our shows. But no living split screen tomorrow. So it is my turn to take a weekend off because my dad is in town from Florida, and we are doing early Christmas as we always do. So no living split screen tomorrow. We should be back the following week for sure. Steel is probably going to be streaming tomorrow. I believe he might be streaming some Path of Exile, although I just saw that he is definitely hooked on Marvels. So if that happens, he might just keep doing hero shooter stuff, but I think he's going to try to launch PoE 2 tomorrow and might do some streaming. So, but again, I hope you all have a great Saturday. Otherwise, tomorrow night, like Fuzzy said, I am going to try to be there for the shop. I think I'm going to be home in time to make it. I might be coming in a little hot. We'll see, but I think I'm going to be there. So Shop Podcast tomorrow night, PTK Blam's channel, Blam, Fuzzy, myself, and probably a guest or two. The best way to end your Saturday night is the Shop Podcast. So join us there. Have us on in the background. Nice, easy 2 hours for all of you. And then, of course, next week it starts all over again. Tuesdays, I always shout out the man. Double Barrel Game is the channel. Boomstick's the man. 5 days a week, but every Tuesday it's All Good Things Green, the Xbox Factor Podcast, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central. Time for that. Join that crew over here. This is crazy because I got dramatic game music in the background playing while I'm saying this. It feels like I'm on a TV show doing an outro or something crazy. And then, of course, Thursday, as Mav said, we will be here. It will be a special PM in the PM co-streaming those famous Keeleys right here, hopefully with some big exciting stuff, and hopefully with maybe a couple of the family swinging on by and helping us out with that one. We'll have a good time on Thursday night at the Game Awards. So you could watch them anywhere, but if you want to have some fun with us, drop on in, man. So we're gonna have a good time. 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. We'll probably start a little early on Thursday night, I'm sure, just to get ahead of the Game Awards themselves. Listen, y'all, it's the golden age of gaming. It really is. I will argue at this point with anybody. Again, it's just opinion, but my God, this is just crazy, man. The amount of games we have to play, good, freaking fantastic games to play. Even early access games are like game of the year quality at this point. This is stupid. This is the golden age of gaming. Please enjoy your weekend. Get out there, play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Matt, go ahead, get us out of here, brother.
Thanks, Pong. Yeah, and Kate let the cat out of the bag in the chat, so yeah. He was originally holding a microphone. She put an award in his hands instead.
It looks exactly like the Mask GIF. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm.
Yeah.
Where he's up on stage, he's like, "You like me? You really like
yeah.
That's exactly what it looks like. That's why I thought it was that. I totally thought it was that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not. Everything with how goofy it is, with how he's standing and all that. That's just Jeff. But she did orange him up a little bit and whiten his teeth a little bit, just to increase the fakeness.
Makes sense. I like it.
Creamsicle.
I like
100%.
it. He's a California dude. Fits.
Yeah. Anyway, everyone, I hope you have a good one. Take it easy. And we'll see you Monday for FSP, Thursday special edition PM of the PM Game Awards co-stream, and then back Friday for Xbox Ultimate Podcast. Take it easy, everybody. Peace out. Bye.